Hi everyone. Let's talk about um, slide 3 on activity 10. So 2 days ago, you finished this slide where you made your own personal time scale. And up here, you um, put the most recent thing that happened, and then as you went down the list, this is the thing that happened in the most distant past. And so when everybody, the most recent thing, they should have taken a breath, and then down here, parents were born, and then the pink line indicated a major event. Well, what we demonstrated when we made this our own personal timeline is exactly what paleontologists and geologists do when they are making timescales for geologic time as well, because we placed everything in chronological order and then finding a major event that kind of divides things into time periods is what they do. So we're going to continue on. This is part B of the activity, and we're going to find the order of events of some big things that happened in Earth's history. And so step 5 right here, it says, imagine that your friend is studying to be a paleontologist. She asks you to help her list some events in history of Earth's in order. She's interested in organizing her ideas into 4 time periods shown on ordering events. Okay, so here are the 4 different time periods: less than 50 million years ago, 50 to 250 million years ago, 250 to 500 million years ago, and more than 500 million years ago. And then here are some different events that have happened in the blue boxes that happened in Earth. So step 6 says drag and drop each event in order from oldest to most recent. So most recent would be up at the top. Oldest is going to be down here at the bottom. Just like how you created the personal timeline, we're going to follow that same order. So up here, most recent, down here, the oldest. Then it goes on to say, hint, read the clue. Some clues will help you put the events in order. Other clues will help you identify the time period which an event occurred. Place each event in the time period in which you think it occurred. Step 7 says think about during or which time period you think the events occurred. So my suggestion would be that you read through all of these, and the first thing, before you even place them, trying to place them in the maybe the time periods here, is that you at least get them maybe in an order that you think. If you think you know the time period that you could place it in there. So I'm going to briefly quickly just read through these for you. And so and then after we read through these, we'll try to figure out maybe one or two of them, and then we will and then you can pause the video and you can fill this chart out the rest of the way. So it says formation of numerous petroleum deposits, millions of that's the event, formation of numerous petroleum deposits. Millions of microscopic marine organisms died 65 to 180 million years ago. So it says oldest rock. Some rocks are older than any other organisms that have lived on Earth. Oldest rock. Fossil evidence of first life on the Earth. Some fossils of blue-green it should say blue-green algae are almost 3.5 billion years old. Okay, so 3.5 billion years old. That would give you an idea of the time period here. Fossil evidence of first modern humans. 22 human fossils found in Morocco, which is in Africa, are 300,000 years old. That's pretty old, but that's only 300,000 years old. And if we look at our time periods, these are in millions of years. Dinosaurs became extinct. Dinosaurs became extinct only after they lived on Earth. Earth formed. The Earth is 4.6 billion years old and is older than almost anything on its surface. Okay, this one says formation of Atlantic Ocean Basin. Similar dinosaur fossils can be found on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean Basin, suggesting that it formed after dinosaurs began roaming the Earth. So this is what we're talking last week when we were talking about seafloor spreading, about how the Atlantic Ocean is getting bigger because the divergent boundaries are spreading apart. So we think about that South America and Africa were once actually together before the Atlantic Ocean formed and the plates moved. Okay, fossil evidence of first land plants. Land plants evolved from green algae. Great lakes begin to form. The last ice age, about 14,000 years ago, ice sheets carved large basins. Over time, glaciers melted and the basins filled with water, forming the Great Lakes. Formation of numerous coal deposits. Most coal deposits form from the remains of plants at a time when there were a lot of plants but no dinosaurs. All right. So if we think about how these might fit together, my suggestion is maybe starting with some of the youngest things or some of the oldest things. And I just realized I'm um, um, well, okay, so sorry about that. As we went through this and went and tried to kind of figure these out, um, if you think about which one is the absolute oldest in this list, so let's think about what would be very first. I would say when we talked about the Earth forming, all these other events happened after the Earth formed. So, and it says 4.6 billion years ago, and down here this says more than 500 million years. So we could go ahead and take this and drag this down here at the bottom. Okay. And then, so continue to go through and sort through these, go back and reread them, and place them in. You might have to kind of rearrange them as you go through. Think about the introduction that we read, that humans have only been around for hundreds of thousands of years. So when it talks about the humans being around, they're going to go somewhere up here at the top. And you can go ahead and pause the video and work through that. All right, so hopefully you have got these into some sort of order over here. And before we move on to step 8, I just want to kind of point out some information here, and then you can move on to step 8. But because I think there was some things that were a little bit confusing. Let's talk about what would be at the top of the list that happened the most recent. And if we go back through here, more than likely, you are going to say the Great Lakes begin to form because it says 14,000 years ago. We can drag and drop that up here. And then on fossil evidence of first modern humans 300,000 years ago. And that, oh, okay. Well, this is being a little silly right now. So, modern humans, 300,000 years ago, and Great Lakes forming would be or 14,000 years ago. Now, since it says Great Lakes forming 14,000 years ago, that is more recent than humans. The oldest human remains that are 300,000 years ago. And so you would probably put them in this order. However, what we would, and if you put those in this order, that's totally fine. However, the Great Lakes, they are no longer forming. They are already formed. Like Lake Michigan is, Lake Michigan and Lake Huron and Erie and Superior, they have already been formed from huge glaciers 14,000 years ago. But modern humans are still around and still living. So because humans are still around and still living, modern humans are, this one here on would actually go on top. Oh, this one would go above the Great Lakes one. So I'm going to move that down right here for a second. And so this would actually be the order for those. And I know that seems maybe a little weird, but that would be the order. So hopefully you can go through and you have the rest of these that you have put into order. One thing that I'd like to point out is in this purple box, it says there are 3 time periods when major events occurred. And this is how we're splitting these events up. So the last ice age happened thousands of years ago, and that was occurring right here along this line here. There was a mass extinction of marine life millions of years ago, and we know that when marine life dies and it sinks to the bottom, it gets sediments on it, and then it creates coal and petroleum, and that we would say kind of happened on this line here. And the oldest fossils are billions of years old, and kind of would put that here on this line. So those are the events that are splitting up our time period. All right, so now you should be ready for step 8, that you have all of these in order. It says your friend suddenly remembers that she wrote down the order of the events in her science book. Watch the video link and check your answers. Okay, so you'll click on here and now you'll be able to check your answers. And then it says use the information on 10.3. That's what you're going to see here in this video. And rearrange the cards in the order that you have determined the geological evidence. So just check your answers and make sure you correct them. And then that is what you should be done with that today. And then you can move on to answering these analysis questions. All right. Um, Make sure that you read the questions all together. If you are in class in person and you have the ability to talk over any of this with your fellow classmates, please, by all means, do that. Science is a collaborative subject, and we learn it best when we work with other people. So, have a great day, and please don't hesitate to email if you have questions. Bye.